So when I first started out, I knew nothing about anything in real estate. I always say this. I'm a dirt poor Mexican from East Los Angeles. That's where I came from. My only experience with real estate is that my mom owned our house, and as an 8-year-old, when it rains, I'm on the roof putting tar on the roof. That was my experience into real estate. But in regards to the business side, I didn't know anything.
All right, legacy builders, welcome back to Your Money, Your Rules, the show where real people build real legacies through financial literacy, strategic investing, and purpose-driven wealth. I'm your host, Teresa Villaruz, founder of the Thrive Movement. And I'm all about showing you how to grow your wealth in two places at the exact same time while making an impact that lasts. Now, today's guest is someone who embodies that mission on a massive scale. Vin Ochoa doesn't just raise capital, he raises the standard for what capital should do. He and his wife, Michelle, have built a platform where private money doesn't just chase returns, it fuels purpose-driven real estate and business acquisitions, protects lenders, and leaves a footprint that lasts for generations. Now, Vince Mount Everest, is building a legacy empire where private capital becomes a tool for both profit and purpose. And the best part, he's already walking the path, raising millions, building communities, and showing investors how to deploy their money safely while making real impact. Now, Vin, I'm so excited to have you dive into this conversation. Thank you for joining me on this podcast today.
No, thank you, Teresa. That was a phenomenal intro. I think I might have to borrow that for other stuff. Thank you.
Of course, I'll send you what I've written down about you, but it's all because of what you and Michelle are building, right? And it's what you're giving to the community that obviously it's that I feel like that intro doesn't do justice to what you guys are currently building and actually doing. So thank you so much.
No, thank you. That's very humbling on my part. We're both Michelle and I are very big go-givers. So anytime we can give 100%, we'll show up when people need us to do something 100%.
No, absolutely. I mean, I've been in so many, well, we're in the Owners Club community together, and just what you and Michelle have been pouring into the community alone has been, life-changing, I would say, because you guys are hosting these networking events or networking Zoom calls on an ongoing basis for the community. And I think that in itself is like helping people connect and build legacies with each other.
No, 100%. So yeah, so what you're talking about is we decided to coin it the OC room because it's all Owners Club. And originally it was really, I want to say it was for a very self-serving reason. So we're second year members, part of the community. And so it was, I know it doesn't seem like it and people never believe us, but we're both, Michelle and I are very introverts. So if we go to a networking event or anything else, I'm sweating walking in. So it's like, I got to talk to the first person. I got to shake their hand. I don't care if they're the CEO or the person scrubbing toilets. We're having a conversation. You might not know what I'm talking about, but I got to get that first one out of the way because it's all easier after that. And so we had our first meetup, just owners club. And so I'm like, okay, I don't want to walk into a room full of strangers. Yes, we know a handful of people from different communities, but I'm like, I want to go in there, really make an impact and really walk into a warm room as opposed to just kind of circling to see who I can just kind of bombard. And so we just threw it out there and be like, hey, if anybody would love to meet up, or not even meet up, but have a conversation before our meetup in Monterey, California, here's a Zoom link. Well, I would have been happy if 2 people showed up, but that very first call, I think we hit just under 200 members. It was Teresa, literally to the point to where while I'm talking, Michelle's bumping up our subscription on Zoom because just the influx of people showing up. And that's a true life story. She's like, hold on. She's like, too many people are showing up. And so I think that was about a month before. And then people were saying like, oh my God, this is amazing. Let's do it again. I'm like, well, we still have a month out. How about we do it in 2 weeks? And sure enough, we had another call, and it was over 100 people that showed up, and people kept asking. I'm like, look, as long as you guys are benefiting from it and getting something for it, we'll keep doing it. And so once you actually meet in person, it's a little bit easier. You have more rapport, you have better relationships with people, and it's just continued every 2 weeks since then. And we're already a couple months in, and I always ask them, like, are you guys enjoying it? Like, we love this. This is one of our favorite calls because we do something called speed dating that we're not the creators of it. Carly, which is a Gator. And so we borrowed it from her, and people seem to love it. And so she's actually going to be on a call this week as a guest speaker. So we're excited for that. And yeah, it's built a lot of opportunities. It's built a lot of relationships and, more important, business opportunities. Like, I think every week I've seen the spark to where there's a new business idea, and then people connect, and then they're like, oh my God, like, yes, what you need is my superpower. What I need is your superpower. Let's have a conversation about potentially doing something together. And that's the amazing part, is really connecting people.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I've been on those calls multiple times. I think I only missed last week because I wasn't in town. But yes, no, those meetups. I actually have an active conversation with someone who needs funding for a ground up construction because of that meetup. So
That's
because of your
amazing.
Zoom call, so
Yeah.
amazing. Thank you so much. Now let's peel it back again. You started this journey. You're in real estate for, I believe, almost 2 decades, if not more, already. From what Michelle has
21
said.
years. This
There
is my
you go.
21st year.
Yeah, but you didn't start off like knowing anything, or
Oh
you didn't
God,
start off
no.
knowing everything you know right now in real estate. And there's a lot of people that I've talked to who know that they want to do real estate, got into the community, either Gator or Sub 2, or even other communities outside of the communities that we're in right now. And they're struggling in terms of, it's one thing to know what to do in real estate, but now they're having analysis paralysis and not taking action because of that. How was it for you when you just started out?
So when I first started out, I knew nothing about anything in real estate. I always say this. I'm a dirt poor Mexican from East Los Angeles. That's where I came from. My only experience with real estate is that my mom owned our house, and as an 8-year old, when it rains, I'm on the roof putting tar on the roof. That was my experience into real estate. But in regards to the business side, I didn't know anything. But when I turned 18, I had a friend that was talking real estate again. He didn't know anything, but he's like, I'm thinking about getting into real estate. I go, I think it's a great idea. You always see these successful people, all they talk about is real estate. All right, let's get into real estate. Okay, what is step one? Well, I guess we got to get a real estate license. So at 18 years old, I'm getting and I still have my real estate license. But at 18 years old, I get my real estate license, and I'm like, and it's just one of those things, you don't know what you don't know. And so that just kind of made sense. I'm like, okay, well, I got my real estate license. I don't have $1 million in my bank account yet. So where did I go wrong? Well, the truth is that you don't need a real estate license to do real estate. You don't even need a real estate agent to do real estate. The only reason I kept it in California is just it made me a faster realtor, or not a faster realtor, a faster investor there. I use it just to expedite things. So if I saw something that hit the MLS within I could tell you down to the room count, size count, square footage, 5 zip codes that I was buying in for fixing and flipping. So if something hit that box within that area in the MLS, I'd be walking the property sometimes 2, 3, 4 in the morning before everybody else got up to then be able to submit an offer. The traditional route is the way that I had first started, but it's not the way I do things now. But I always say, people always ask, what's the secret sauce? How are you successful? And I always say, I'm like, I can't tell you how to be successful. I can tell you how I've screwed up, and don't do that. But my whole thing is I guess my secret sauce is I've always been too dumb to know when to stop. Like I'm just not built that way. I'm like, okay, well that's an issue. There's an obstacle. What's the solution? And so it's like I'm just going to keep going until I find the solution, or the solution finds me. And so that's really the way that I've been since day one.
Ah, that's amazing. That's funny because I have this. Well, I wanted to be in real estate as well and decided to get my real estate license and
Mhm.
quickly learned that wasn't the path for me. Now, I stayed in that path just so that I could earn income to pay for my way through college.
Yeah.
So I'm one of those lucky ones who don't have, those high college or student loans that's
Mhm.
still looming around. But that wasn't the path for me, but realized that I didn't need to be on that path to jump into real estate. Kind of like what you said, right? You don't need a license to be in real estate investing and all that stuff. That's more like a misconception because that's where people first think like real estate, realtor.
Yep, 100%. No, 100%. So yeah, so I did that for a couple of years, and then I actually even learned how to TC, which is funny. Now everybody talks about TC. I had an actual TC company probably over a decade ago,
Mm.
and so I really learned contracts. I really learned how to that really honed my skill into contracts and negotiation and figuring out how to maneuver within the system. And it just made me a better investor. But I did that for a couple of years. Like I said, I still have my real estate license, but I was never technically a traditional real estate agent. Like any transactions were basically things that fell on my lap, especially once they started TCing, because then at that point I was dealing with a lot of agents and even more brokers. So it got to the point to where a lot of brokers were sending me deals. Um, and so I had experience in doing all that, but again, it wasn't the lane that I was trying to be in. I was just trying to figure it out. But again, you don't know what you don't know. Um, and then just started slowly trying to get into the actual investment space. And I think that's when things really started getting interesting for me, good and bad on both sides of the fence. So it's interesting. I don't know how far down that rabbit hole you want to go.
Well, how about let's start with the first layer, jumping into that hole. What was your first investment like?
So before I actually started doing my first investments, I could have taken the lane of private money lender. Whether I should have done that at that point or not, that's a whole different long conversation. I have kind of my different point of view now than I did back then. But so yeah, so when I had first started in regards to that, I could have either been traditional investor or a lender. And so the owner of a title company that I was working says, "Hey, I'm looking for some capital for a project." I don't even remember if it was his or not, or he was just trying to arbitrage. But I'm like, okay, what are you looking for? He's like, I'm looking for $50,000. I'm like, I don't know what any of that means. I'm like, I know the basics of it as a real estate agent. But I'm like, okay. I'm like, I've known you. We've done business. You're the escrow company. Money goes to you anyways. I'm like, okay, that sounds good. So what do? I go to the bank and I try to pull out $50,000. Well, I don't know that the bank doesn't have that kind of money sitting in their vault. I had to wait, I think, 10 days for the money to physically show up. Again, all brand new to me. And so then I literally go to his office with $50,000 in a brown paper bag. And I'm like, okay, what next? He's like, well, let me get a picture of your driver's license. And the whole time, just it doesn't feel right. I'm like, this just doesn't seem like the right way to be doing this. I go, I don't know that if this is right or not, but I'm like, I'm a real big believer of trusting your gut. I'm like, you know what? I go, it just doesn't work for me. And he's like, well, what's the problem? I'm like, well, I'm giving you money. I have no record of me giving you money, and you're asking me for a copy of my license. I almost think it should be the other way around. Like, there should be some kind of paperwork. And I'm like, yeah, this isn't for me. So I left. And so after that is when I started doing my own investments. Um, Doing a lot of fix and flip, but there was no passive side to it. And so this was basically the next evolution of my story. I started trying to buy, actually not trying, I actually started buying properties in Arizona, specifically the city of Surprise, which is just out of Phoenix. I think now it's a little more known, but back then nobody knew where Surprise was. It was a little dirt town, it was a small little town, but it was fun. That's when KB and Countrywide were the dominant player, and they were just giving properties away. This is before the correction of '08. So it's like
Yeah.
you'd show up and you'd get keys. So I'm like, I go, this is pretty easy. I go, can I do that again? Like, and this is almost verbatim what I got. Go out the back door, come in through the front, and we'll give you another property. So it turned into a monopoly game for me. So as I'm trying to do properties in California, I'm also buying out of state. And so everything's great. Everything's phenomenal until it's not.
Mm.
And then the correction, anybody that's been in real estate long enough knows about the correction. Specifically for me, was March of '08. Well, that's when you start getting these balloon payments, and that's when they start calling loans, and that's when all of a sudden $1,000 mortgage is now five, six, $7,000 times X amount, of properties. For me, literally, it was like Monopoly. It was like an entire block down the same street. Um, and long story short, just couldn't keep up. I just kept it going for as long as I could until I basically bled out. And for me, it was kind of a bad time in real estate. It's I didn't talk about it much. I was very ashamed of it. But now I not that it's a badge of honor, but it's definitely a learning lesson. And I think now, 10 years later plus, it's made me a better investor because everything's cyclical, everything comes around. And so now when you see certain things like, oh, I've seen this before, let's pivot right, oh, let's pivot left, or let's slow down, or let's speed up. Um, so it's made me better in regards to that aspect. So it's I know that's a little bit long for the question, but hopefully that helps somebody out there that's listening to this.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Especially since, you mentioned that it's cyclical, right? You see it coming, well, at least be able to kind of predict a little bit like when things are going to start coming or dipping again, and when is the time to invest and accelerate that, that pedal or the gas on that. So lots of lesson there, especially in the 2008 crash or that 2008 rate. But
But yeah,
now
I would say whatever you call it, crash, correction, adjustment, it happened.
has happened. Yeah. Now you've learned so much there. And obviously you had to pivot. What was that pivot look like?
So out of my 21 years in real estate, I would say that that's probably the one true time in those 21 years where I took a break. I took a
Mm,
break like a year and a half. Like I said, for me, being very transparent, it was a very dark time because everything that I did revolved around real estate at that point. I was all in, all my eggs were in that basket. And to lose my properties in Arizona just was really a punch in the gut. For fix and flip, you're only as good as your last fix and flip. There's no more money coming from that. So I'm like, okay, what do I do now? That sucked. It's I don't have anything to show for it. Credit shot. And so it's kind of hard to try to even get into another real estate transaction. Again, now I could do it no problem because of the information and knowledge that I've gained. But back then, it's like, okay, I need to have good credit. I need to have cash. I need, XYZ. I'm out of the game. I don't know what to do. And so I licked my wounds for about a year. I'm like, you know what? I go, I still believe real estate is my retirement vehicle. I just got to learn how to do it smarter, better, and faster. So I'm smart enough to know that. And I'm like, okay, who can I leverage that's in my Rolodex to try to help me expedite that. How can I get from here to there that much quicker? Again, I was smart enough to know that, but I didn't know anything about masterminds. I didn't know anything about communities. I just knew that I was surrounded by knuckleheads, and that's the truth. The one example I always give is why would I ask my uncle for love advice if he's been divorced 7 times? He's not going to tell me how to be in love. He's not going to tell me how to be in a relationship, but he's going to tell me how to be single. Whether that's what he wants or not, that's what he can show me. And so that's really my truth, is that the people I had around me weren't people that were doing the day to day. And I'll give you a specific example. I had one gentleman that he had been in real estate a lot longer, but it was all theoretical. And then one day the light bulb finally went on. I'm asking him for some advice, and he gives me something that again doesn't just resonate. It doesn't sit well with me. Doesn't resonate. And finally, I asked him. I go out of curiosity. I go, what do you base your information? What do you base your opinion? Because that's really what it is. What do you base your opinion on? I go, what have you done in real estate? And his response, I'll never forget. It still gives me chills, down to my core today. Well, I don't do real estate. I've never done any real estate. I just tell people how to do real estate. And I'm like, oh my God. I go, what have I done for the last 2-3 years? I go, what do you mean? I go, I thought you had all the answers because you've done everything. He's like, no, I've never done any real estate. So I knew that I was in the wrong place. And so I'm like, okay, I go, and again, it was there's where there's a will, there's a way. I just don't know what that way is as of yet. And I still very vividly remember this. It was like a Tuesday. I think it was actually a Tuesday night. I was up late, and we all know what comes on in the middle of the night: infomercials. And so I'm just kind of trying to figure out, what am I going to do? I'm cleaning the house. I'm like, I know that there's a better way, but what is it? And there was an infomercial for a real estate event, and I'm not even really paying attention to it. But then the guy on TV says something. I'm like, wait, what did he just say? And then he keeps talking, like, oh my God, he's talking to me. Like, he's hitting all my pain points. So I don't even know what else is going on. I'm calling and making an appointment for a 2-hour event. From there, it goes to a 3-day event. And from there, obviously, they pitch you on a mastermind. Now I know what that looks like. But I will tell you this, I'm so thankful that I was up way past I should have been at that time. I ended up showing up, and really from that point forward, put me on a completely different trajectory. And it was really pain to hack somebody else's timeline. Really is what it was. Is a group of people, and I'll say this is for fortune builders. For anybody that's been around long enough has heard of fortune builders. They're still around today, but they're nowhere near what they were doing years ago, pre-COVID. And so there, I learned about SOPs and how to talk to a contractor and how to protect yourself and how to just everything. Like, what would have taken me a decade, I literally learned by writing a check over the next 6 weeks. Really is I was just consuming information. And that's the other thing. I'm like, if I'm going to commit to something, I'm going to jump into the deep end. So what was taking some people 6 months, I've talked to people that they were 2 years, 3 years in, and like, well, I haven't gone through all the curriculum. I'm like, I literally finished it in 30 days. Like, I don't think I moved from in front of a computer for a month, just trying to consume everything. Now, whether all that was retained is a little bit different, but then you can take that and start implementing, and that's when you really learn. So
yeah, no, for sure. Like, I was one of those people where like, I need to get all the information before I take action, but then soon enough realize that it's actually in the taking of action do you learn the most. So yeah.
No, 100%, 100%. Same thing there. There was meetups and networking events, and I was always very visible. Again, it's not anything that I pursue. I don't even like being in the light, as you can tell in our branding and marketing and everything else. Michelle's the lead of it, and that's not by accident. That's not her being egotistical. That's by design on my part. I don't like being in the spotlight, but I was always showing up, and people were noticing. I'm like, oh, I've seen you over here. Oh, I've seen you over there. Oh, I've seen that you did a JV deal over here. I see that you were part of that deal, or you did some wholesaling. And it was just like, I'm gonna figure this out. Let me sample a little bit of everything until I figure out what I really like, and then I'm gonna double down on that. And so people were just noticing that and be like, okay, he's like, so what is the secret, or what are you doing, or how is this, or how is that? Like, you're brand new. I've been here, 3.5 years, and immediately I'm like thinking, like, you've been here 3.5 years and you haven't done anything. What have you been doing? That's just me, and it's like, and I always tell people it's the same thing, just like I said earlier. I'm like, I was just too dumb to know when to stop. Like, nobody ever told me I'm supposed to stop. So it's like, okay, I'm just going to keep going until I figure this out. And then once I figured out what I liked, like, again, I just hit the gas. I'm like, oh, okay, let's go faster. And then it's just a matter of building out the team and having the right systems and the right people in the right seat. And then that's when you scale, and that's when things get really interesting.
Yeah. Now you found what you like doing, and now you've doubled down on that. Tell us a little bit more about that. Like, what are you working on right now?
So right now, physically now, and I have been for the last couple of years in Texas, specifically San Antonio. That's actually where Michelle and I met through a different mastermind. And so here, I had to learn a new skill set. In California, I would never buy and hold any property because it's not a landlord-friendly state, and we can get into that if you'd like. But in Texas, very landlord-friendly state. Somebody doesn't pay the rent, you can have them out in 45 days or so if you know how to do paperwork correctly. So the new skill set I had to learn here was basically buying and holding, and then getting into midterm rentals. We do a lot here with midterm rentals. Anybody that knows San Antonio knows that it's known as Military City, USA. So we do a lot with housing military. We do a lot with displaced families. And then thanks to the community that we're a part of, we're actually getting into aged out foster kids and starting to get into affordable housing. We've already done some deals with other OC members. So we absolutely love this community. We've both been a part of other communities, but we've never seen a community move like Owners Club.
Mm.
It's just amazing the way that everybody shows up for everybody here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You're doubling down, buy and hold in Texas, mostly midterm rental and housing military, and then also doing impactful. Not that to say that those are impactful, but then also helping house kids aging out of the foster care system, which essentially, after talking to Rising Roots, it's actually twofold, right? You're not only helping these kids who are being forced into adulthood without mentorship, but then also hitting the homelessness epidemic, because what I've heard is that 50% of these children end up being homeless. And if you can kind of like jump in the early stage and help, build that foundation for them, then you're kind of also, hitting the homelessness epidemic there. So
No,
kudos to you.
100%. The last time I looked that number up, if I'm not mistaken, it's actually 68%. And I almost cried when I read that. I'm like, oh my God. And we didn't know this was a thing up until a couple years ago. But to backpedal a little bit, everything that Michelle and I believe and do down to our core has to be about impact. For us, it's never about the money. It's never about the cash. It's never like, geez, how much are we going to make off of this? We're real big believers. If you show up and you do right and you try to do good in the world, that's going to take care of itself regardless. But what are we doing to be better humans? What are we doing to provide for somebody else? And so one of our companies is literally called Legacy Crash Pads, and it's all about leaving a legacy, not just for us, but for others as well. And so everything we look at it first through the lens of what kind of impact is this going to do for the other side of the table? Not for us, but who we're trying to help or who we're going into business with, or just anything in regards to that aspect. What is going to be the ripple effect if we choose to do this, either by ourselves, with this individual, with this other entity, or whatever it is? That's what our driving force is. Who are we going to impact with said project? And so, like I said, everything that we do is in regards to that. With the foster for the aged out foster kids, we were actually invited to a fundraising event. Well, part of the problem was that the person that invited us had too close of a relationship. All we got was, hey, what are you guys doing in an hour and a half? Can you guys come down? Okay, great. Bring your checkbook. There was never a follow-up question or anything else like that. So we ended up showing up. It was like a concert in the park. There was music, and it was a really good time. And I think it ended like at 9 o'clock, and like at 9:30 they started cleaning up, and we were still there hanging out because we knew some of the staff there. All of a sudden, somebody from the other side says something. I'm like, wait, what? And Michelle turned around too. I'm like, did you hear what I think I just heard? Well, the fundraising event was for aged out foster kids. That would have completely changed the way we showed up to that event. 100%. So immediately when we heard that, it turns out that the CEO and director were both there. And so I'm like, I got to meet these people. I got to see how we can pour into them and be more of a resource, not just to them, but to everybody else that they serve. We missed them by 3 minutes. They had just left. And so it's like, oh my God, I go, it's that's why we always say, like, anything we do, we got to be intentional, because it was 100% our fault. We should have asked what the event was for. We were just going to show up and, just contribute and help. But if we would have found out 5 minutes earlier, it would have just brought what we're doing today that much further. And so that's how we found out. I'm like, wait, what do you mean? It's like, yeah, when they're 18, we can't do much for them. They're basically out on their own. I go, where do they go? Don't know. It's not our responsibility. I'm like, that sounds horrible. I go, so more than I go, they've already had it tough. And at 18, it's sayonara, you're thrown back in the blender. Like, unfortunately, yeah, there's a lot of truth in what you just said. I'm like, no, there's got to be a better way. I go, if I can't do everything across the U.S., but I know we can have an impact in our backyard, and that's literally what we're doing now and in the process of doing.
Awesome. What is that? How does that look like, and how can people help?
Yeah, so we have our own portfolio. We do a lot of midterm rental. I know we're looking at the possibility of converting some of those into co-ops. Most people know it as pad split model, but it really is co-living. But we're also looking at new opportunities. We've actually picked up outside of Denver, Colorado, a property which is going to be for affordable housing. I know that's a couple states over, but again, that was all an opportunity because of Owners Club. So we actually went into a deal with other OC members, and we're looking at more. I know we're looking at some more in Louisiana, and I think one in Carolinas. And this is just because of that, because we're surrounded by other go-givers and amazing people that believe in in affordable housing. Maybe it's a different niche, but usually the people that we've partnered up with believe the same thing that we do to the core. But affordable housing, we had heard affordable housing before, but it didn't grab our attention because it wasn't explained correctly, and we didn't grasp it. It probably wasn't. It was probably we didn't understand it, and it wasn't explained correctly. But once walking into this room and the impact and the niches that people are going after to try to help, I'm like, whoa, this changes everything. We have a real estate portfolio, and there's a chance we've been doing this wrong. Again, not because of the financial aspect of it, but who we're able to help. We love the people that we currently help, especially displaced families and military. We actually have a couple of those right now staying with us, and so we love that. But it's like, how can we amplify what we're doing? And so that would be it. In regards to people helping us, right now we're actually in the middle of a capital raise for fractional. If anybody's heard that, we're actually in a raise right now. We're doing $1 million raise. As of this morning, we're about halfway there. We're looking to close it out over the next 7 to 14 days. Like we're telling people in 7 days or less than 7 days from today. We're probably gonna have some bleed over into next week, but the whole thing is really going to be geared towards that. Is it going to be solely for real estate? No, it's not. But this is our second club, and it's called the Amigos Investment Club. And so even the marketing with the name was very interesting and intentional, because I'm like, who doesn't like to be with their amigos? And so the first one was our proof of concept, and that one, so far 100% of the deals we've gone into with it have all been affordable housing. So we've done one affordable housing, one's been sober living, and then the other one is co-living for affordable housing. And so it's the amigos love the fact that they're putting their money to work, but again, they're with us along with the journey in an impact-driven project. And the way that we pour into them, I would never say that we're the smartest in that room or any room, really. We have some amigos that have been doing it longer for us, but we have our community nights outside of just the deals and be like, okay, what do you guys want to learn, or what can we give? And we've had nights where we talk about contractors. We've had nights where we talk about underwriting. I think an upcoming night that we're doing is entity structure and taxes. Again, I'm not a CPA, I'm not an attorney, but with our Rolodex, with as long as we've been doing it, I'm like, ooh, I know both owners actually of Prime Corporate Services. I'm sure I can get them to come in here. And so that really is at its core what's probably the most important for us is relationship building. Like, people always like, oh, you guys are in real estate. I'm like, no, I'm not in real estate. I'm in the people business. I'm in the relationship business. Some people get it, which is awesome. Some people don't, and that's okay too. Hopefully at some point people get that, but it's just the power of connecting with people and doing right and pouring into them before asking for anything in return. And there's times where we don't. It's just we love to pour into people. So then when somebody does want to learn about some entity structure, I'm like, I know exactly who to call. And that's pretty powerful, to call one of the owners of a company that's that big. Like, yeah, of course we'll show up for you guys. So right now, like I said, we're doing the Amigos 2.0 is what we call it, but it's the Amigos Investment Club. Anybody wants to check it out, just go to amigosinvestment.club. And like I said, we're doing a capital raise for projects that I've mentioned already here. We're looking to raise $1 million. Like I said, we're halfway there.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, you guys are doing so much good in the work that you guys are doing. Now, if someone wants to learn more about like this fractional club that you're building, the Amigos Club, and before jumping in, want to learn more about it, or maybe just connect with you and probably, help in some other way, or maybe learn from you, what's the best way for others to connect with you?
Yeah, well, the amazing part, and this is, I think, this is why I love Michelle. I think she's just as crazy as me. So we've been doing I feel like we've been doing webinars every day for like the last 2 weeks. But we usually do webinars specifically for people that are interested to at least check out the actual club every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Like, we'll actually do one today in a couple hours. And again, you can go to amigosinvestment.club. For anybody that wants to connect with either myself or Michelle, go to michelleandvin.com. Or you can just reach out to me on social media. My handle is @mystoryvin on any of the platforms.
Awesome. And I'll have the links to all that in the show notes as well. Now, one homework that we want to give the audience is obviously check out how they can help out with you, but not only just help out, right, with what you guys are building, but be part of that journey and also benefit from that in order to build their legacy. But if someone's just starting out, really don't know what to do, maybe, jumping into, thinking about whether they should lend capital, maybe jump into fix and flip or whatnot, what is the one step that you would recommend they do this week?
I would say get out there and network, connect with people, and figure out what's in it for them to pour into you. And the reason I say that is twofold. Again, Michelle and I are real big go-givers, and we've actually stopped what we're doing and taken time and poured into people. We've had people that have either performed, which is phenomenal, and we'll keep pouring into them because we love people We love to see people exceed and even surpass us. Like that's phenomenal if we can help that along. We've also had people that keep showing up every 6 weeks asking the same question. Like, okay, well, have you done this? Have you done that? I asked you to do this. Nope, nope. And it's every 6 weeks. I'm like, look, I can't help you if you're not even willing to take the first step. The other thing is, I pretty regularly I'll have people reach out to me, and I'm talking about me specifically. I'm sure Michelle goes through the same thing. You're like, hey, my name is Joe Bob. Here's my phone number. Here's my email. Please call me. I'd love to work with you. I'm like, I don't even know what you do, Bob. I don't know you from a hole in the wall. Like, what is your superpower? It's like, you want me to figure out how you can help me in addition to helping you? That doesn't make any sense. So for me, it's just kind of my pet peeve. We're like, hey, can I pick your brain? I'm like, no, I don't like having my brain picked. I don't even like having my nose picked, much less my brain. And it's just, you got to figure out what value you can bring to somebody. But 100%, if you're genuine and you genuinely want to help somebody, and more importantly want to learn from somebody, if they're all about that, 100%. Like we've literally stopped in the middle of the street to help somebody because you could tell it was genuine. 100% we would do that. But when somebody wants help but they're not willing to do the work, that's what rubs me the wrong way. I'm like, I don't have time to stop my business, figure out what you can do, and then tell you how you're going to help me. It's faster for me just to do it myself. So that's what I would say is really get out there. For us, it's a weekly mission, whether it's together or separately, to go to 2 live networking events. And for anybody that's part of this community knows it, especially Michelle, I swear she's on almost every call given by this community, and she's only scaling and doing more. I don't even know how she's on all these calls, but the same thing with me. It's we'll try to conquer and divide, or divide and conquer, I should say. She'll go into Gator calls. I'm starting to go more into sub two calls. We attack OC together. But it's the same thing. It's we both show up not to take from the group, and be like, okay, what problems are people having? How can we help? And sometimes maybe it does seem like we're trying to take over the room, but it's really not. It's like, if Teresa, if you were having an issue and I can solve your issue in 30 seconds, or a recommendation, I feel that it's our obligation, my obligation, to be there and be present to make your transition and whatever it is that you're doing easier, because there's a possibility that I've already gone through it to some extent.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. I mean, like, I've been in so many calls with you, so many Zooms with you and Michelle, and you guys truly, truly are go-givers and have beautiful hearts. So thank you for that. Now, for everyone else listening right now, thinking, I want my money to work smarter and safer, not just harder. This is exactly why we have created the Thrive movement, where we help investors grow wealth in 2 places at once: inside a tax advantage system that protects your money, and in real estate deals that create real impact, like the ones that Vin and Michelle are doing. Now, if you want to explore what that looks like, head on to thrivebankingstrategy.com and check it out for yourself. Now, Vin, thank you so much again for joining me and for the work you're doing to protect lenders and create legacy level impact. And to everyone listening, remember, it's not just about stacking dollars, it's about building a legacy that matters. So take control, build legacy, and remember, your money, your rules.